Hi, I'd like to welcome everybody to the AgMark University of Minnesota series. I'm Dr. James Lamont, and I'll be interviewing Dr. William Aderholdt today, the director of the Grand Farm in Fargo, North Dakota. The farm itself is in Castleton, but Dr. Aderholdt is based out of both Fargo and Castleton. We'll be talking about what the Grand Farm is, how it's going to change agriculture, and talk about some of the acceleration of technological advancements within the AgMark or within the agricultural world. This is video 61 of our interview and our education series. And it's really excited because this is where the confluence of technology, agriculture, as well as industry collide. So welcome, Dr. Aderholdt.
Thank you, Dr. Lamont. I'm really excited to be here and talk about these really important issues and the opportunities that can help advance the agriculture industry moving forward.
Excellent, thank you. So, I've known you for a few years, and I remember when this was a really early concept in terms of the Grand Farm. But what is, maybe explain to the listeners and those who watch this, what is the Grand Farm?
So the Grand Farm is direct technology to solve challenges in agriculture. As a nonprofit, we do that by engaging the global ag tech ecosystem, which includes growers, higher education, students, as well as startups, industry, and government agencies. We engage them through things like events, conferences, conversations like this, workshops, as well as small roundtables. We also have a series of projects that we host and initiatives we host every single year with these partners and these stakeholders. Those are often centered on the challenges and opportunities that we have been able to uncover in agriculture, often through conversations directly with growers and those who would be the recipients of technology in their own operations. Grand Farm's really excited about getting to the core of those problems and finding ways to remove barriers for technology to be developed and move into those spaces for adoption.
Excellent. And what's really cool is having worked on this project a little bit here and there, I've been blessed to kind of watch the success over the last several years. I mean, you guys have gone from nothing to 60 miles an hour and even faster. And what's really unique is the region, whether it's the Dakotas, Western Minnesota, et cetera, just bolsters or boasts many major accomplishments from agricultural technology over the last several decades to a number of agronomy advancements, yields. I mean, kind of the works. And so it's a really unique geographical area, I think, to support this particular initiative, and I'm so glad you guys chose our region. So given that, how will the Grand Farm change agriculture in the Red River Valley where we're located, but also the Midwest in general, and perhaps even beyond?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one that we constantly think about. That's the type of question that keeps you up at night, just trying to make sure that you're creating value. One of the biggest validations early in Grand Farm, it happened last year, was we received approximately $15 million in investment to build out our innovation campus in Castleton. This was a mixture of public and private funds that were put in place to develop out that innovation campus to accelerate technology development and deployment. One of the things we're really excited about first is that because it's in Castleton, North Dakota, the geography and the plots that we have represent the soil that is on farms in the Red River Valley. We think that a lot of the partners that we work with can come out, test out their technology, and that includes things like seed technology, and validate how it works in this space. With researchers, we often bring them into a space for applied research to be able to see how their, for instance, weed detection technology might be able to actually detect weeds that are prevalent in our valley. As we move beyond the Red River Valley, first, I think the technology we're developing here is applicable to any large acre agriculture operation, but we also partner with universities from around the country to get access to other crops, other farming systems, and other types of soil that would be very necessary for the development of a tool that could extend across any of the environments that you might find in it. And so what this allows people to do when they're developing technology or research is seamlessly work on what they're trying to bring forward as a solution for those problems that exist, without having to run into all the different barriers that often happen when you're developing something that needs to be relevant for agriculture globally. We do think what the problems we're solving need to be focused on globally. We believe that there is an opportunity to also engage countries from around the world in this work. Last year, we went on a trade mission with our state to Japan to be able to talk with representatives from that nation on the challenges that they see in agriculture. Surprisingly, they're very similar to what we face in the United States. And while there's a different spin on why workforce is a challenge or why technology is needed to create efficiency within agriculture operations, the tools will often solve those challenges despite the country that they're in. So we're really excited about both the local and regional efforts, but also the ability to impact way beyond.
No, that's really interesting because eventually, as everything kind of grows and the innovation campus is developed and constructed, you'll probably have a ton of really smart people that are coming to go either into proof of concept or even beyond proof of concept. And so having those brilliant minds sort of centered in a facility which is where industry, entrepreneurialism, as well as academia sort of intersect, I think will help accelerate some of these efforts. And like you said, in a country like Japan, which has very little arable land, they have many of the same constraints. So it's really interesting in terms of how this is all kind of coming together globally, regionally, as well as via the valley. Which kind of leads me into my next question. More or less, will the Grand Farm advance technologically, in terms of various types of implements, or is it, I mean, we've been really blessed in the region because we've had not only terrestrial or ground-based implements, if you will, developed, but we've had unmanned aviation assets augment agriculture, and to some degree, given some of the beyond visual line of sight work, it's even, spatial. So you've got terrestrial, aerial, and now even spatial using low Earth orbit satellites. So given sort of the innovation in the region over the last 60, 70 years, what kind of technology advances do you see in terms of the Grand Farm, maybe not being the centerpiece of it, but being a component of it that helps kind of move certain piece of technology or some type of yield along?
Well, that's a great question, and I think it's really important to differentiate the roles that we have and that we play within the system. Grand Farm was started because we knew that there was a convergence of industry, academia, government interest, and traditions in agriculture in our region. We saw an opportunity to develop something that would be complementary to those efforts, not competing. And so what Grand Farm does is we facilitate solutions on behalf of our stakeholders. We facilitate an environment that accelerates technology development versus going out and maybe developing our own IP or products ourselves. As a nonprofit, we're really focused on enabling others to do those things, to create opportunities for things like research. Over the course of our history, which is only 4 years, we've completed 700 projects with partners from over 90 organizations globally at Grand Farm. During the completion of those projects, what's really exciting to me is 65% of those have included at least one university faculty member or graduate student involved in those projects. Finding a way to add their own interest, their own research that maybe they're working on, or just in complete collaboration with those. We are really excited to see the collaborations that have been able to form through the conversations we've been able to create. It is important to us that industry is working hand in hand with both the growers and academia, as well as education, K-12 and K-20, as they move forward with their technology. The direct feedback loops that this creates makes the technology both relevant and impactful for growers throughout our region. We hope that we can continue to do this on a much larger scale as we look at, as we mentioned earlier, nationally and globally, but we definitely feel like we have done a great job at engaging our region in this conversation, and we hope that we can continue to do a good job in that space.
Well, that's excellent. So to augment that, I guess with a follow-up question, given all of this work that's been done, 700 plus projects, 90 partners, and I know you can't share everything, but who might be some of your key partners or stakeholders that have tried something or implemented something locally?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And like you mentioned, it's hard to get at everyone because first off, there's so many. And second, because some of the people doing the most impactful work, we're also got things like NDAs with. Some that I'll highlight, and maybe it's one from each sector. First, really interesting was our work and continued work with the North Dakota Department of Transportation, where we've been able to evaluate how a lot of the technologies that have been emerging will operate on the roadways. As we think about autonomous technology, there needs to be a conversation about what infrastructure needs to be in place to support that, moving from the farm to maybe a processing facility. Another partner that is exciting to work with is Aderholdt Ethanol, where we can work at looking at not just what's happening on the farm, but optimization of processes down the supply chain. Looking at how we can create more efficient production of ethanol has been really exciting to explore, as well as figuring out how the story of moving from farm through the process of development of biofuels is going to be important to the future of the United States and our region. KWS is a company that we highlighted as partner of the year this year. They're a company out of Germany that is one of the top 5 seed producers in the entire world. They account for 90% of the sugar beet seed that is planted in the Red River Valley. And they are very interested in the development of digital technologies and the exploration of them so that they can test them ahead of proposing them to farmers, making sure that if there is challenges with them, those can be worked out before they make suggestions about what can be used for optimization and efficiency. They have been amazing to work with on some really innovative projects in sustainability, as well as seed technology and remote sensing. And then another one is North Dakota State University. Part of the reason why Grand Farm is here was the extremely strong connection to agriculture, but also the land grant mission. Being able to look at the extension system in both North Dakota and Minnesota, as well as states outside of this region, and be able to directly connect with the growers and rural communities of those spaces has allowed us to inform our own decision-making on the opportunities and challenges that we might be able to address with our ecosystem. We're really excited about all of our partners, and that was just a few who are doing some amazing work with us.
Well, you guys should be super proud. I mean, coming this far in 4 years, raising $15 million, looking at going well beyond that, and just the amount of work you've been able to accomplish. I mean, I don't even know if there's a word in terms of how complimentary and well-deserved you are for the success that brought you here this quickly. I'd like to thank you for your time. I know you're a really busy guy, and congratulations again, not just on the Grand Farm, but moving up the chain and directorship. And I hope we can have a follow-up meeting in a year or two to kind of see where everything has been and where you're heading.
It would be great to update you. And thank you, Dr. Lamont, for having me.
Thank you, Doctor. Cheers.